time for another round of Brandy. Candid conversations over cocktails about all things brand with your hosts, Reilly Newman and Scott Saunders, the brand developers behind Motif Brands.
Welcome back. So if you check in with us on the last episode, we talked about clarity, but we talked about it with regards to this new fandangled thing called AI agents. And it's kind of like utilizing, assisted AI and browsing and kind of putting it on shopping hunts. But we're going to continue the conversation about clarity today, but we're going to talk about the human side, the human only. Right, Reilly?
It's a good thing to remember because online shopping it's been reduced in the last 5-10 years to just online buying, and everything does just become about convenience. Okay, how fast can you click to order, and then how fast can you get delivered? And it's like giant convenience stores now. And so the shopping experience, and the key word there is experience, and I feel like that's where you're having this in the last year or two. You're having a revival of people actually wanting shopping experiences. They want to go in stores. They want to see the products, touch the products, kind of spend some time going through. And some brands have done some really great things about this. Like we've talked about Target before and like the retail experience they have, but also how they are using their apps to be that companion. So they're using a little bit of technology to help navigate through the store or do deals or anything like that. But now it still comes down to the consumer is shopping. They're using their eyes. They're walking through the store. There's design behind that. There's human behavior. There's a lot of different things that have to be considered than just a shopping experience on Amazon or an AI agent going out and just grabbing a product for you, throwing it in the cart, and then having it delivered. In the headlines recently, Walmart actually did a really great renewal of their Great Value brand, which if you're familiar with Great Value, it was their economic brand, the super approachable, fair on price. It's kind of like Kirkland for Costco. Like they all kind of do it now.
Well, it's funny because, that's the very nature and model of Trader Joe's. They basically, it's like, it's all there, they're just kind of packaged, repackaged, white labeled. But yeah, they're Great Value, which is, as a designer, I always just like the logo, the brand was just always kind of wah. Just so like, didn't even put any thought into it. It's just slapped. It just looks like it is the bottom barrel of the value.
When Target first entered into the world and their whole strategy was going, we can do designer looking things, designer pseudo names for a great price, where you're still putting design forward. And Target's always been on the cutting edge. Was it their
Goodfellow? Isn't that their apparel brand? Target's in-house.
And back in the day, it was like whatever, Mossimo back in the day and stuff like that, where they had these relationships and they're pushing more of this designer front. And Target's done an awesome job with their sub brands and everything on top of that.
Their up and up brand. That's their house brand.
And so you look at now Walmart, on the other hand, they kind of play like the Kirkland card where they don't care about design. It's under-designed. It's just is what it is. However, this new revamp they've done to all their Great Value. I hate that name so much. I hate the Great Value name so much. But the
it's
great
trademarked.
It's just so like it's too literal.
So they did a rebrand recently. They they decided, okay, we're going to brush up on a couple components. One being the type treatment for Great Value, and the other was the color that they used for it. And I think it was a good improvement. They're leaning into current, I think, some trends, some, not fashion. I don't want to say fashion trends, but retro is in right now. Let's be honest. So they're hearkening back to that. It's a retro generation. And so they chose it, a font that like avant-garde that looks, was kind of really heralded last in the 70s. Even the way they've slanted their E. And then they went to a richer color palette, which you really like, the new blue for Great Value, right?
Yeah, I thought it was a good decision because the Walmart blue, the general brand for Walmart, has become a little more electric, a little more lively. And then they did introduce kind of these darker colored vests on the employees about a couple of years ago. I watch these things because I have shares in Walmart. And Walmart's actually a very progressive brand. They just don't look like it. And they started bringing back that old or the older like Walmart darker.
It was the mid 80s to early 90s. There, I think it was like 85 to 91. The Walmart. That's when they really kind of changed to that modern, thick, fat sans serif font, and then got into that. It was like a dark blue, like almost like remind me of like the old Gap logo.
Yeah,
that was in the square. That kind of blue.
And it's still in the square.
It is.
The Gap one.
You're right.
Yeah.
I don't know why
so
I said
that Gap blue, and they're bringing that back, and they introduced that to the Great Value brand and kind of tying it back in. It's cool because it heralds back to the Walmart brand. It has this nice richness to it. Like aesthetically, it looks great across the board.
It's a lot more eye-catching, for
sure.
sure.
And then they have that nice, it contrasts with the white. And then the beautiful thing about it, with all their products, and I didn't really truly realize this, but the Great Value, it covers a slew of products. It is like, it's pretty much every category.
Everything from like sugared flake cereal to
toilet
Ziploc
paper
bags
to
it's
pretty incredible. And so then you have this nice dark blue going across all these items, but then the packaging design, they leaned into this identity system that leverages these cool little glyphs and little kind of like call outs for what's relevant information for that certain product. So it's super clear for the buyer of going, oh, A, this is Great Value. B, oh, it's one serving, or it's this many in the pack, or whatever it is or gluten free, or whatever it is that's being highlighted there. That's important to the buyer. So they're kind of
on
hitting
the front and center, as opposed to being like a side panel thing that it's like if you want to know, oh, is this product gluten free? Well, the first thing you do, the people that are gluten conscious, like my wife, you're looking at nutritional labels and you're looking for that contains wheat, because they're not going to tell you it has wheat, or they're not going to tell you it has gluten. And sometimes they don't even tell you it's gluten free, even though it is gluten free technically.
And the brilliant thing about it is that, okay, they're not only conditioning people to now spot the Great Value because it's consistent across the board. The blue's there, it's very prevalent, and so you can spot it. But then on top of that, they're conditioning the consumer to go, oh, I'm looking for these little shapes and different little glyphs that represent different things, but they're looking at that across the board. So now they've created their own little ecosystem versus everyone having to turn around the package, look on the nutrients pack, and look for whatever. And it's not to say important to them.
If you look at their the range of products, some have photographic, it's cookies, it's their brand of like what would be like an Oreo sandwich cookie, and there's the cookies or there's crackers or whatever. And then other ones, they get very like their Frosted Flakes version has like these flat vector kind of polar bears, and it's kind of not all over the map. They're having flexibility in a lot of the treatments of the packaging, but I think what they're bringing with consistency is the in the square, in that dark the Great Value brand, so it's much more visible, right? And they're by making that consistency, they're really helping the shopper identify, like you said, easily, not only where are the great brands among the choices of product X that I'm in the market for, but then what are the other things that I want to have signaled to me, like you said, the call outs, the visual glyphs.
The important thing here is that, like Scott was saying before, they were highlighting the category of the food or the product. So, if it's toilet paper, let's make the toilet paper the first thing someone sees, so they spot toilet paper, right? And then they're comparing that toilet paper box or package versus Charmin. Or if it's cookies, let's put the cookie first, right? They're looking for this cookie. Now they've really, because Great Value is a certain mode of buyer, whether it's economic buyer, they're price sensitive or something like that. That's a mode. It's a situational marketing. It's a situational buyer. So now they're highlighting that specific buyer who shops Great Value, and that's a certain mode of buyer. So it's really brilliant, because then someone isn't looking at, I'm looking for toilet paper or cookie, I'm looking for Great Value, and then whatever's in Great Value, I'm going to pick that one off the shelf.
So now they are going to gravitate even stronger. They're going to have a stronger connection with the brand, because now it looks more upscaled. It looks more quality. Whereas before, maybe they're like, I'm on a really tight budget. Well, aren't we all now with the economy the way it is, or gas prices? But it's like, everyone's value shopping nowadays. But now it's like you're able it raised almost the esteem of the current brand's audience. They're clearly signaling certain things to the human eye, to the shopper.
And so that's an important note, because in the last couple quarters, Walmart's been reporting that their highest growing segment of audience is actually affluent buyers. So you have people who are making $150,000 now shopping at Walmart. So then the next conclusion for Walmart to do is actually go, okay, we have these products. People are in, again, going back to the mode. Yes, people who make less money, like low-class people, and high-class people can both go into the price-conscious mode of shopping. That's totally reasonable. That's why you get like Warren Buffett still drives his little Toyota and lives in the same house he lives in, right? Yet the guy is like one of the richest people in the world. So you have certain modes of buying. And so Walmart is reading the writing on the wall going, hey, how do we, kind of like what Target does, where you signal something, you increase the perceived value with the design, with the aesthetic, with the perception of it. And it's still a great deal because they're in the mode of shopping for a great deal. And that's kind of the bottom line. And, again, if they're not shopping at Whole Foods and getting $20 smoothies or whatever it is, then they might go by Walmart and go, oh, I'm going to pick up these essentials and choose this, which I think Amazon, like Amazon Basics, Up and Up at Target, I think it's lowered that stigma where people go, oh, I'm buying toilet paper, I'm buying staples. I can buy just the essential brand. I don't need
here's the reality too,
brand.
is that there's the opportunity for your brand to capture even more. If you've always kind of targeted more of a value conscious consumer, right? When someone that's got a little more restricted budget, they're going to worry about saving a couple bucks here and there when they're shopping. Now if everyone's kind of finding themselves in that pool, right? Then there's more fish. And it's an opportunity for your brand to all of a sudden go, you know what? This may hold for a couple of years. What can I do to help elevate my brand to even draw the people that normally aren't in this pool, but current times and economics are driving people into that pool.
Yeah. And I think there's also, you see now that the world is so advanced that things that were special, like a special cookie or whatever, right? Like an Oreo, it's like, wow, that's so novel. But now infrastructure, technology and stuff has caught up so much that now you could have really, even in the fashion market, you see dupes of things because we can spin up and spin down architecture or infrastructure to reproduce things and get things at such a really commodity level that it's not about the product anymore. And I think consumers are now becoming okay with that, where it's like, oh yeah, I don't have to buy the name brand Oreo because the one Trader Joe's makes, the JoJo's are actually better. Like I actually prefer JoJo's over Oreos. And so I think that's on one front where you have the commoditization of like everything. And so now brand is becoming even more important and focusing on that mode of the buyer and having that clarity. And then I think these brands are also kind of seeing what Costco's done so great over the years as a retailer with the Kirkland brand, is that Costco has the most affluent of all the buyers, and yet their Kirkland, the Kirkland brand is a value brand, and those affluent buyers buy the Kirkland brand to a point where Kirkland pulls in more money than Nike altogether. Like Kirkland is bigger than Nike. And so you have this really complex situation of going, how does Costco get more affluent buyers, yet you have the most successful economic brand within that? And so I think you have kind of like what Scott was saying, is that you have people who are going, okay, you have this shift of going, no, it's okay to buy economically. It's not about just this the label or the perception, because
social signals, social class signals, right? Brand signals.
Right. But also Costco has done wisely is that if you're buying a Kirkland product, you know you can trust it, and you know it's probably actually a great brand inside. You know it's Starbucks, or like I said before, the vodka is Grey Goose or whatever it is that's labeled Kirkland. You actually know, oh no, the quality is actually still there. So, and that's your typical affluent buyer, where they're okay spending a little more for quality, or they're going, oh no, I don't care about the label. I just care about the quality.
I was chuckling because I was thinking about, like, with Costco, you're like, yeah, quality products. Like, yeah, sure. It's like, and you can return it in 60 days after you completely used it and it's empty. You can get it back.
So then if these brands like Walmart are starting to go, okay, I need to, attract more of this affluent buyer who's in the mode of value shopping, the quality still has to be there. So that's going to be the proof in the pudding at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But I think that goes for that goes across the board. As you know, Amazon is like half the business of Amazon is just returns now. So it's like that's part of the problem is that poor quality, but that gets sussed out in the free market, thankfully.
That's a great point.
When you consider all this, it kind of goes back to the beginning of the episode where we're talking about that shopping experience, right? Where it's like, okay, that on Amazon is a poor shopping experience. Amazon sometimes redeems that by going, oh, if there's a high return on a product, they go, hey, don't send it back. Here's your money back. And they then go and spank the vendor. But, you know, with these other brands, you really have to then start focusing on that shopping experience of the human. And that comes down to having that clarity of going, hey, how are they shopping? And what mode are they in when they are shopping? What are they looking for? How do I better serve them? Even if I am selling a value product or something that's going to save them money, why? Why am I leaning towards that way for this specific buyer, and why are they in that mode? And that really does take you out of just focusing on demographics and going, oh, they make this much and it's they live in this, urban area or whatever it is. Like, no, understanding their actual mode of the buying and the situation they're in is actually going to add more value and help with the overall experience. So I think it's like when we talk about clarity, the clarity with AI, like we said before, is like it's much more straightforward, much more literal. Yet with humans, it's going to be far more about the experience. And a huge part of that experience is visual, because we're visual creatures.
Yeah. And it's somewhat subjective too. There's a lot of factors that go into when you are, a shopper and you're going in and shopping. Every time I go into a store, let's just say Albertsons, I'm having to make a choice as a consumer, but I'm in different moods. Sometimes I'm like, I don't have time to dawdle. I'm in a hurry. I'm in a rush, or I get what I know is good. I'm not going to explore other options that are screaming at me on the shelf, unless I'm more like a lazy Saturday morning shopping run where I'm like, I'm not in a hurry. I can take my time. I can go aisle by aisle, and that kind of, there's modes like that. So I think it all depends. There's no, that's why we love to. What I love about brand is that it's like this great mystery of like, some of the principles of it, but it's flex. It's not, the rules change and bend by other factors in the economy and in culture. And that's why we always go, there is no like simple 3-step, 10-step process to guarantee a successful brand. We never have. We never can, because there's so many things involved. You can't, it's not like we could give you guys advice that you could literally to the letter follow step by step. There's no quick, rich system for a great brand. It's something that always changes. So we always it's counsel, it's rules, it's things like, but one of the important things that we've been preaching is those C's, right? The clarity that your brand needs to have. And you mentioned too, consistency. Not only bring clarity to great value, but they made it consistent across the board on all their packaging. So it's easy to signal, easy to identify. There's no confusion. And then they're doing it in certain ways where they're applying fresh graphics and fresh treatment to it. And so they're doing it creatively. That's the third C that we like to kind of preach. But.
Yeah, and I think, to Scott's point, it's like it's not about knowing the answers, but as much as asking the questions. So when you do see a multi-billion-dollar company, actually the second largest retailer in the world, like Walmart, now the biggest is Amazon, but Walmart is massive, and you see them do something like this, as a founder or a marketer, you don't just kind of accept it, but you should be asking why, and start digging in and going, okay, why would they choose to do this? What are they seeing? And again, that's why I encourage people to even listen to quarterly reports, listen to what's going on with these companies, because it's a pulse on the market and it's a pulse on what these giant companies are doing. And a lot of money is going into these decisions where
they have a lot more at stake than the small little business owner. You think you don't, but think about it. Yeah, scale it up, and it's
I always stand on the shoulders of giants. Learn from the giants out there doing the big swings, and then go, how do I apply that to my business? What are they doing, and what are they seeing? They're reading the tea leaves, and they're spending a lot of money on it to do so. And so, take a hint and then boil it down to the principles like we talk about here is okay, the clarity, the consistency, the creativity, how are they deploying those and how is that working?
Yeah.
Speaking of experiences, Trader Joe's, I noticed recently, they always have done the samples. But then when I was going down one of the aisles, one of the Trader Joe's employees, he had a platter and he had more samples, different samples.
Oh, he was on his break. You walk by and grab something.
No, and he's like, he had different.
He was talking to someone. You walk by, just grab something. He's like, dude, I'm on my lunch break.
Do you want one? And I was like, oh, these are different than the other ones. He's like, yeah. I was like, man, it's like cocktail, like it's like a cocktail party around here. He's like, yeah, and he's like walking around like a waiter. I'm like, how interesting that Trader Joe's, because the whole sample thing is actually very effective, and it's interesting that now this experience of the little sample area they had is now expanding to the rest of the store, and it's engaging. And
you know what I love about Trader Joe's employees? Because they're so personable, right? They're easy to get along to. They're easy to chat to.
Yeah.
And I always feel bad, like if you know, like when you go to like Costco and someone gives you a little, oh, here's a little, I don't know what, a little pizza roll, right? And you're like, oh, okay, hey. But you walk up like as if like, ooh, what is this? Because you feel bad. You feel like I'm not buying these. I have no interest in buying some of these. I probably wouldn't buy them, but I'm hungry and that looks good. I'm going to try it. But you always act like, oh, what is this? Like you're surprised. And I love what the TJs, they went by and they were cutting up like one of my favorite cheeses they sell. And on one of my favorite crackers, and she goes, would you like to try this? I go, yes. And I go, but actually I buy a crap load of this stuff. And I go, but you don't mind me having some sandwich? She's like, no. She's like, here's 2 or 3. Like they were just, like, I could be straight with her and go,
I already buy this.
I buy this. I don't need to taste it, but I still want to use some of the free stuff. And she's like, go at it, you know? And so I love that honesty, that approachability they have. The other thing, speaking of Trader Joe's, that I've noticed they started doing, at least in our local one, is that they have now when you walk in, there's a new shelf that's just to the right when you walk into their stores where they have on display like all the new stuff. Like this is like, hey, we're over here, and they've got everything. You know, whether it's lemon and white chocolate drizzled popcorn, or forget what it is, new fruit bar, whatever, something new that they've dropped. It could be candy, it could be box stuff, muffin mix, whatever. It's new, and now they've kind of put it right in front of your eyes when you first walk in, because a lot of shoppers, right, we know what we're shopping for. It's like automatic, especially at Trader Joe's, so I love the fact that they've gone out of their way to kind of highlight. So now when I walk in, I'll glance like, okay, nothing new in the last couple of weeks, right?
Yeah.
It's easy to just kind of see, ooh, and then even kind of walk over and go, ooh, I might try these.
Right.
And then you're going about your regular shopping.
Right. And the mode of that would be explorative. So you get people into a novelty seeking mindset, and they're looking at across now categories, everything from, muffin mix to coffees and all that maybe they wouldn't have wandered into that category because they're not going, oh, I don't need coffee right now. I'm not going to go look at
I don't need
coffees.
any baking goods.
Right. And you're putting it in front of them in a different context based off of that mode. So you're reframing it going, hey, this is brand new. Come try it. It's the, I don't know, pumpkin something muffin, whatever. And they always do weird combinations of things. So, so think about it. Think about having that clarity and understanding, even that in that example of understanding going, oh, our shoppers, they get in this mode of novelty. They like that. They like finding these little treasure hunt, which Costco's famous for is their treasure hunt technique.
Yeah.
And that clarity of that, and then being consistent. But thanks for listening. If you want to fill out our form, if you have any questions about brand or marketing, feel free to fill it out or check out our book on Amazon. It's called Brandy, and leave a review wherever you listen. It helps this podcast get more out there across the world and spread the good news of Brandy.
Spread the gospel of Brandy.
Oh no. All right. Until next time.
Okay.
Cheers.